I'm Robin Bennett. I'm one of the co-founders of the Dog Gurus. Susan Briggs is over there in the blue. She's the other co-founder of the Dog Gurus. And our company helps to pet care businesses launch, grow, and profit. We do that two ways. One is through consulting for the business owner. And then we also do have staff training programs. And a lot of times businesses need both of those. So it works out really well. So, what we're going to talk about today is getting your team motivated and ready for the holidays. I know this year has been really challenging for staff, hiring staff, finding staff, retaining staff, training staff. We've talked about all of those topics throughout the year at various times. And we know from working with our members and going to trade shows that staffing is just a huge issue ever since it was an issue before COVID, but it's just gotten to be more of a challenging issue. So we want to make sure that the staff we have, we actually do treat them well and keep them hopefully working with you and working with your team longer. So as the holidays come up, because obviously that's our busiest time of year, typically in the pet industry, we just want to talk a little bit about getting your team ready. So I will toss that over to you, Susan, to start out with any initial comments.
I think what I always tried to do was be on my best leadership skills during the holiday period, because you can set the weather for your whole business. And so the more you can be optimistic and positive and supportive, the better. It goes back to what we train as far as dog leadership during key events, is when you need to have your strongest leadership skills with the dogs. I think the same thing applies to your team. And I think you have to be optimistic and have confidence that everything is going to go right. And I think show how much you value them being there and helping care for the pets, get ready for all the clients to come in, and just really try to keep it fun and positive.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for the holiday season, this is true anytime, but I think especially for the holiday season, is generally speaking, people don't like change. That's true for everybody. Some people are more or less resistant to change, but pretty much nobody is like, yay, I love change. Let's have a lot of change, especially when things are already really hectic. So, one of the best things you can do, if you haven't done this already, is really lay out the plan for the holidays. How many dogs are you going to take? What's your occupancy? Plan on 100%. Or maybe you're one of those facilities that actually can take a little bit more because they bring in extra crates, or maybe you stop the daycare so that you can take dogs. Plan all that right now so that your
Mhm.
staff understands what the staffing is going to look like. Your staff understands how many dogs they're going to be taken care of. If you have less than, that's fine. What frustrates the staff, though, is if you say, okay, we're going to plan for 50 dogs, and you do all the staffing for 50 dogs, and then at the last minute you get 10 or 15 more dogs and you just cram them in and expect your staff to take care of them. That's just hard for the team. And it's hard because maybe now you don't have the number of staff planned, or you're asking someone at the last minute, can you work for the holidays? So just map it all out now. If it's your first year and you've never had the holidays, again, plan on 100% occupancy, because that's typically what happens, particularly in lodging. Decide if you're going to have the ability and the staff available to do lodging and any other services you have. We have a lot of people that actually cut back on their daycare because they want to bring in more lodging dogs. So if you want to do that, just plan it all now or at the beginning of November. So you've got Thanksgiving coming up, and then you've got Christmas coming up. And then try to get if you haven't already, try to get your staff schedule ironed out so that the staff knows exactly what they can plan for themselves for the holiday. And I think that's really important too.
Yeah, and I think one thing we did on the holidays was split the shift in two. And so there was the morning shift and the afternoon shift. But I think that kind of switched about 1 or 2 o'clock. But we tried to make it to where everybody only worked half a day. And then we would ask them, do you celebrate with a early meal or late meal, and try to accommodate so that they could have time off when their families were celebrating. And that made a big difference in people being willing to work and showing up for their scheduled shifts. The other thing we always did was make sure that we had a great meal there on site at the facility for everybody that worked. We would do barbecue because it was something different that people usually didn't have on the holidays, so they could get a little snack that was not going to be the same as to what they would have for their family. But I think really considering how you schedule, especially right now, is really important to actually having people come and work their shifts.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would just pay attention to is if you're, especially if you're paying holiday pay, or most states you have to pay overtime, but look at that in advance so you know if you need to make sure that's in your budget and you're aware of it if you are having people work overtime or if you're paying holiday pay. I know one of our clients I was just talking to last week, or maybe it was the week before, but her policy is that every single person works, but nobody works more than 2 to 3 hours unless they want to. So I thought that was another interesting way of doling out the work. I think in some respects that could be more chaotic because you have a lot more shift changes. But for her facility, she loves doing it that way because she's basically saying, can you come in for 2 hours over the Christmas on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas or whatever it is. And she said her ability to get people to work just for a couple of hours is really good. So just think outside the box. I think long gone are the days where we're just going to expect to work every holiday or even to work those really long shifts. Unless again, there may be some people that prefer not to celebrate the holidays or celebrate a totally different holiday, and maybe they're like, oh, definitely put me on the schedule, I want to do it. But for most people who are trying to celebrate or families are coming in town or whatever, try to work with them as much as you can to accommodate what they need. And if you start all of that process now, hopefully you can get that all ironed out well in advance so that they can make plans with their family as well. The other thing I was going to say when you talked about the food, I know with my facility, our clients were so generous. They were bringing in food all the time. Like, I feel like starting at Thanksgiving all through Christmas, like we would have an entire table full of food nonstop for that entire time. Think outside the box though, because I also know I love candy, but we got so much chocolate after a while. I need something other than chocolate. So having time now to plan like some special, not just the special meal like Susan was talking about, I think that's awesome, but maybe bringing in some other things just to celebrate with your team and just remind them that they're doing a great job. Don't just wait until the holidays are done and then go, great, we survived the holidays. But periodically, even in the middle of that entire week from Christmas to New Year's, maybe plan on having something brought in or having something where the staff can snack on something maybe a little bit different than what your clients are bringing, but mainly just to say to them, we're in the midst of this, we're in it together, we have a few more days, but you guys are doing a great job. So just making sure that you're taking time to recognize them during the actual work period as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing you can do for planning is the confirmation calls are really important, to confirm the people that have reservations, to minimize no-shows, and then making sure that all the pets that are scheduled to come in, you have everything you need. I had a friend that was down not long ago, and he took his pets to a kennel. He was supposed to be getting on an airplane right when they opened, so he only had a quick drop-off because he needed to catch a flight. And when he got there, the place told him that they didn't have all the vaccinations they needed and that they wouldn't take the pets. I know. Now, luckily, he worked for an airline, so, but he still then had to do a later flight, go to a vet to get the vaccine he was missing. And it just made me think, in our industry, we try to confirm all that. It would have been great if the place had confirmed that beforehand so that it was not a good conversation for anybody that morning.
Yeah,
So you want to,
exactly. A lot of stress.
yeah, taking that extra step just to confirm all the, I guess, I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and letting people know now if there's something that they need that you don't have records on, so that you don't have to have those awkward conversations. And I think also explaining, just refreshing people on how you want them to bring in food or stuff. I'll never forget the day before Thanksgiving, and we had a client, and my receptionist came up and said, what am I supposed to do with all these hard-boiled eggs that they had not peeled, that they wanted their dog fed?
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yes, so I got to make the phone call to say, we'd be happy to feed your dog a hard-boiled egg. However, it's the holidays, and so we're going to have to charge you for peeling them. And the client came in and peeled them and brought them back. She happened to live close by, but
Oh my, they sell hard-boiled eggs that are already peeled. That's what she should have bought.
that's exactly right. But yeah, you can't assume that people know and understand. These confirmation calls or emails before the fact, just to clearly communicate with your clients to make it easy for everybody, is an extra step that's worth it. And right now, you may have team members that have time. And so it's a great thing to do and get that out of the way.
Yeah, and then Jamie said they ask for volunteers and do 4-hour shifts, which is a great way to make sure that everybody gets some time off. And then someone else said we rotate holidays. If someone works Christmas Eve, then they don't have to work Christmas Day, which I think is also something to pay attention to. So one person isn't getting all the what we would consider the peak times for working. The other thing I was going to say about planning is if you have not already done this, and I'm on a lot of Facebook pages of a lot of pet care facilities, obviously, and I haven't seen a lot of this yet, but we should start seeing a lot. And if you haven't done this, I would start doing it, is letting people know that they need to book their reservations
Mm.
now. And I would even have those go back to last year, look at who stayed with you last year. And if they haven't made a reservation, I would start calling them. If you have priority clients or you have a membership or a VIP program, then probably some of your VIPs already are in that boat of getting first notice to get reservations. But I would start trying to fill your lodging now and being proactive to call people to go, hey, filling up, are you interested in a reservation, making sure they understand whatever your deposit or refund policy is for booking. But you really want to be full early so that you can do all this planning and so that your staff is ready. And obviously you're going to get last minute changes and that kind of thing, but the earlier you can book, that way you're not just sitting there on the 20th going, oh, I hope we get a few more reservations because we're not full yet. The other thing is that actually allows you to preload your lodging with the dogs you really, because those are the people I'd be calling first, is the ones that you're like, these dogs are great, the family's great, the dogs are really easy to lodge with us and they love it here. Like, those are the people I would call first. But you want to start making sure that people know that they need to be booking now so that you can get all of your ducks in a row before the holidays.
I don't know. I'm probably weird, but I love the holidays. I just really felt like it was a team, our time when our team came together and we were really at our best and serving the clients and the dogs. And you know how I am like a planner and logistic person. And so it was just like when it all worked, it was fun.
Yeah, and I do think that is part of the leadership that you talked about at the very beginning. So if you're joining us in the middle, go back and listen to the beginning of this. But I do think that leadership of the team coming together and really having a common goal and a common vision, and I do think that's where it comes into play. And I feel like everybody steps up their game because they know this is a time that we all need each other and we all need to lean on each other and support one another. And I think it's a great opportunity to be an amazing leader and try to replicate that throughout the year. Because I do feel like teams come together when they have that common mission and their common goal and that common, like, it's the holidays, we got to get through this kind of attitude, which I think is important. Just quickly about training, if you have brand new staff or maybe you have holiday staff that comes back at the holidays, make sure that they get a little bit of a refresher training if they haven't been with you in a while, reminding them of the key concepts they need to know, any new policy changes you may have made since they went back to school and are now coming back to work with you again. We do have, if you're in Pet Guru College, we do actually have an entire role that's a seasonal pet care role that is specifically designed those seasonal pet care staff that come on, where maybe you don't have time to do a full onboarding, extensive, several week long training program. It's a much smaller version of what we would normally teach. So you can look at that if you're in Pet Guru College, but make sure that you're making some plans for getting those new or returning team members acclimated as quickly as possible, introduced to anything new, introduced to any of your new team members so they can hit the ground running as well.
Yeah. And the other thing, as far as planning now, is check your supplies and make sure that you're going to have enough of everything you need for cleaning, the bowls, the bedding. We would do special holiday meals, get that ready. The last thing you want to do is the day before Thanksgiving, have to be running out and trying to buy stuff because you ran out. So the more you can be organized and plan ahead, it'll keep things smoother too.
And that also goes for any crafts or pictures you're
Yeah.
going to do. I know Tons of people take those really great holiday photos. Guess what? Start taking them now.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
those dogs are going to be there at the holiday. It's November 1st. It doesn't matter. Set up the Christmas backdrop and decorations and just start taking a few pictures every day, because believe me, it's a whole lot easier if you're seeing those dogs before Christmas anyway, especially for the daycare dogs if that you're going to see a lot. It's a lot easier to do few pictures throughout the month rather than try to do 50 pictures or 100 pictures all on Christmas Day. So get the Santa suit out or whatever you have to do, but start taking those pictures now, because you don't have to give them out until Christmas Day, but you can certainly take all those pictures. And same thing for any kind of crafts. If you want to, if you are a facility that does some kind of a holiday craft on Christmas, you can start putting some of those things together now as well. If you do things like paw prints or whatever, if you're seeing some of those dogs now and you know they're going to be there at Christmas time as well, just do the craft now and save it for Christmas time. It'll be just a whole lot easier to get all of that done. I know I never did that. And I always was like, when someone told me that, I
Yeah.
was like, why did I never do that
I
that
know, and
way?
you're a big planner.
I know, but I was always like, we got to do this on Christmas Day because that's whatever. I don't know. It was really silly, but that was, so now I'm just always about that. I'm like, just start doing the pictures now. It's November. It's fine. So yeah,
Yeah.
see, Mindful Mutt said pictures ahead of time. Brilliant. I know, right? I never thought of that when I was doing it myself, but
Well,
it's
take the
definitely a
stress
lot
out.
less stressful. And that's true for anything you're going to prepare. Even if you're doing holiday meals or whatever, if it's stuff that you can prepare in advance, prepare it in advance, because you're going to have a lot more time now than you are when you have an entire facility full of all of those holiday dogs.
Absolutely.
What else? House of Hounds said, I was thinking paw prints. Does anyone have a good suggestion for doing that with minimal mess?
Oh, we would put down a drop cloth, and then you have the toxic free safe paint. And the key is to bring the paint to the paw and to bring the object to the paw. And then you don't have near as much of a mess.
Yeah, and big proponents of using platform training. So if you have platforms or play equipment, we typically like using the climbs for a lot of stuff. But one of the
Yeah.
great advantages, if you have taught your dogs to get on things, is you could just put a drop cloth over the climb and then teach your dogs to get up there. The dog gets up there, you can grab its paw, bring the paper to the paw, and you're done. It's just a lot. The climb helps the dogs to be a little bit more controlled and they're in a position. But I think the key is what Susan just said. Instead, everybody tries to take the paw and then stretch the paw out,
Yeah.
whatever. And then the dog is, what are you doing? This is weird. Most dogs don't mind if you just hold their paw up
Yeah.
without pulling it and trying to stretch it to reach a piece of paper or whatever, and then just bring the paper to the paw. Again, that's another one of those that are like, oh, that makes a lot more
Well,
sense.
and I have this visual of you have the climb and you have someone bringing your dogs, and you just have this little assembly line, boop,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
just goes so smooth and easy with that going.
But that's why I like the climb for pictures as well,
Yeah.
because if the dogs are used to jumping on the climb and sitting there for a second, pictures are a whole lot easier because then you just incorporate the climb into whatever backdrop or scene that you have. The other great way to take pictures, this comes from Debbie Oliver, who is fantastic
Yeah.
at doing dog parties and getting great pictures, is she always gets pictures of dogs running back into the room. And so she'll put a frame around the door or some kind of a little thing the dogs have to jump through to get into the door that they would normally run in. They run in and out of a million times a day. And then she'll just set the photographer on the inside. So as the dogs are all running through, she just grabs pictures that way. And the pictures end up great. The dogs are doing what they do every day. They don't necessarily realize that you've just created like a holiday scene on the inside of the door. They're just running in and coming back into the playrooms. So I think that's a really good tip too, because she gets really good action photos of just the dogs jumping over something or whatever to come into that door that they always come into. So that's another tip too for getting pictures at the holidays. Any other last thoughts you have, Susan? We have just a couple minutes left.
I think the key thing is for you to get excited and be happy, get ideas from your team on from past what you could do better, and then just really be the cheerleader and the support person and make the holidays fun and then celebrate afterwards. One thing I started doing was my expectations. When I would come back in after the holidays, that first day, my big goals was, were all the animals safe and healthy, and were the clients all happy and satisfied? And if those two goals were met for the holidays, it was a success. Everything else we could figure out and fix, but we would celebrate those two biggies as our successful holiday period.
Yeah, and I think especially empowering your team, and if you truly empower your team, then let them make decisions. And again, if the dogs are safe and everyone went home without injuries, it's a successful holiday period. It's a successful day any day if that's happening. So don't try to focus on a staff member made a decision and maybe it wasn't the same decision you would have made, and let's
Uh,
now tell them why they, like, just let it all go. Just be like, okay, this was ultimately a successful holiday. We did really well. Everyone went home safely. The dogs were all happy, and focus on that. And then I would say too, make sure you, if you're the owner or the GM or you're one of the leadership team, make sure you're getting time off too. And in order to do that, you do have to empower your team to make some decisions in your absence. So making sure that you're giving them some responsibility and ability to actually do a good job in your absence, and you're not always there necessarily telling them every little thing to do. It helps to do some practice runs of that before the holidays. But look, it's November, it's only November, whatever, 2nd.
Second.
And so you still have a couple weeks, even before Thanksgiving, that you can start practicing getting out of their way. So don't be there every single day. Give them a day where you're just going to say, hey, if anything majorly important happens, this is how you can get a hold of me. But otherwise, I'm going to go work on the business at home or at Starbucks or wherever you want to go. But give them opportunity to start operating independently of you actually being there all the time, because that's going to help you to relax a little too, so that you can enjoy your holidays.
Mm.
So hopefully some of that stuff helps.